Today's episode is going to show you how deeply homeopathy can work. We're going to be looking at a specific case about migraines. It's a long-term chronic illness, and homeopathy has wonderful, wonderful effects. This episode is also going to share about a particular remedy that was right in this case. It's not right for every case by no means, but it's an unusual remedy. And we're going to talk about why we looked at it and the language that led to finding the right remedy in this case. Hello, welcome everybody. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome Colleen Harris. Colleen, it's lovely to see you. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing great, Mary. Thanks for inviting me here.
Colleen, you are one of our homeopaths on Homeopathy 24/7, and you've brought a really fantastic case to talk about today. Can you tell me what was the original diagnosis? Why did this lady come to you?
Well, this woman came to me last year actually, and she had suffered with headaches and migraines for 3 decades, almost 30 years.
Wow, that is a long time.
It's a very long time. And I was actually really excited to try to help her get rid of these. She's had suffered with them for so long.
Yeah, so what sort of age had she started with a headache? What was the cause? What has happened 30 years ago?
Okay, well, what happened was these started after the birth of her second child.
Oh,
Very interesting. Yeah, it came after the birth of her second child. Um she actually a very successful businesswoman, and these started after the birth of her second child, and she had been navigating through a lot of stress as a businesswoman. There had been some family strife, relationship upheavals in her life, and just the demands of being a mother and her business. And so these were quite debilitating for her. Not only did she have migraines, but she also had headaches that went along. So two different things. Her migraines sometimes and they usually came right around the time of her period,
hmm.
and they would last 3 to 5 days, so quite debilitating, and having an aura, and she had to be in the dark a lot. And so, yes, this has been a very long time for her.
You just can't imagine, can you? That's almost a week, isn't it? A working week every single month for 30 years. That is huge. How do you start on a case like this? What are you asking?
Well, the way I work is I want the full story of their life. So it's a really in-depth interview with a client. And I wanted to hear her story just in her words. A lot of times I send an intake form, and I read that, but I want to hear right from them what they have to say about how they've suffered through these migraines, what their life's been like, even getting back into their childhood. Just bring me through your whole life and tell me how you're experiencing your life, and then how it is with these migraines. Tell me all about it.
Okay, so really nice open question that
Mhm.
allows them to bring what's important for there. So that's interesting. So you're going to get effectively what was happening before they started, what they went through, and actually, is it important to understand what the migraine actually stops them doing?
Yes, it's so important to hear that, how it really impacts their daily lives, what they can and can't do. A lot of times they start with their main complaint, in this case, the migraines, and then sometimes we'll circle back
Yeah.
after they've kind of talked a lot, and I'll circle back into their childhood patterns, how they grew up, what they have going on. So yeah, it's very important. And I try to gather kind of their symptom picture, how they experience the migraines, like, what does it feel like to them? And how does it impact their daily life?
So actually, how they feel it, what they
Mhm.
experience, is really, really important for us homeopaths, isn't it? Because there's so many different variations that people can be experiencing with something like a migraine.
Oh, there is. I mean, some people have nausea with migraines, some people have auras, some people could even have vertigo, some people prefer to be in the dark. There's so many there's so many different options or symptoms associated with migraines. And then there's even just simple tension headaches. She also had those. Those were besides the migraines that occurred maybe once or twice a month, she woke up with tension headaches almost every day. That was like a low grade headache, a pressing in her forehead. So these were also, but she was able to, in her words, power through these.
Okay,
And yeah, she just really lived with these for even the low grade tension headaches. She lived with those for many years.
goodness me. So would you ask in a case like this, what has the person done? What is available in mainstream medicine? What would they usually be doing? Are they taking painkillers? Is there other things that they are having? I know that everybody in different areas, you might be prescribed something different. What was the case in this one?
Well, in the case in this one, she has seen different doctors, and when she did come to see me, she actually had contacted a neurologist and got on a waiting list
Yeah.
because she couldn't get in right away. And yeah, so she had tried many things, the simple Tylenol, Advil, those type of things. To she does a lot of holistic type of other things like chiropractic, acupuncture, different adjustments, energy work. There she had tried a lot of different things.
And so, but had she been for tests to check that there wasn't anything seriously wrong at all, or was that on her with the going to the neurologist?
I think that was next on her list.
Yeah.
Yes, that she was going to take care of this and go in. She had seen a regular MD for quite a long period of time. She was taking vitamins, different supplements like that too, and just these just really didn't go away for her.
Goodness me. I just can't imagine 30 years of putting up with pain. It just must be absolutely horrendous. What was her health like apart from the migraines?
Oh, she is very healthy. She has a beautiful complexion, very beautiful lady. Looks healthy on the surface. I would have never guessed she suffered from these migraines. I mean, all the things that she does in her career and how she moves forward, her children. Um, yeah, I would have never guessed that just meeting her on the street that she suffered from this. Hmm.
Gosh. And so tell me a little bit about the things that she said that really stood out for you.
Okay. Yeah, this is like really interesting. I actually have like uh, a quote here from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm someone living in survival mode. I get up and I do just what I need to do. I juggle all the balls. I grew up powering through. I turned off my intuition and I had to be in my masculine energy. I didn't cry, I just held it in. And here's what needs to be done. I was a lone wolf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And she's powering through. Very
She's
interesting, isn't it? So she's
Yes,
feeling very alone in this world, having all of these tasks to do.
yes. And she's had different relationships and family and in different periods of her life, things have happened that weren't that great for her. And she has said she has felt like a lone wolf. And she said it more than one time in this interview. um, when we circle back to her childhood, she talked again about being a lone wolf, which was very interesting because she grew up in a very large family.
Oh,
And Yeah, a very large family. But and as you know, wolves are in packs, right? Like
Yeah,
large,
yeah,
anywhere from maybe 3 or 5 to 20, 25. But she grew up in a very large family and she was the youngest. And there was a huge age difference between her and her youngest or the next oldest sibling. And I said, "How was that at home?" And she said, "Oh, I felt like a lone wolf." And yeah, it's so interesting when the client speaks this language to you.
yeah,
You have to take notice.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, I haven't studied wolves, but I'm assuming then the lone wolf would be a male wolf that goes off. And she mentioned the masculine energy.
She did. Yes. She was very much in different portions of her life. Say like every 10 to 15 years, she was in a survivalist mode.
Yeah.
Hmm. Where she was forced to move on and push on and overcome things and that were happening in her life. It's actually like a really beautiful story of her perseverance. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So this made you think of a particular remedy. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it did make me think because when somebody says something so unique and
Yeah.
their perspective matches, it was something I definitely circled in my notes and went back and talked more about it. It all tied together kind of with her survivalist instincts. And it was a remedy that I really had to take a look at. But how I do my work is I really go through all of the different symptoms she had besides the headaches. She did have a few other things that she had as far as symptoms, physical symptoms were some digestion, bloating problems. She had some back pain. Um, yeah, she did at one point have a little bit of sleep issues. And so I'm like, could it be black lupinum? But I really needed to take a look at it because black lupinum isn't like your typical migraine remedy that you
Yeah.
would see that would come up. That was her main complaint. Um, and so I went through all of her physical symptoms and then some of these feelings of being alone, independent, part of the family, but then her family dynamic would change and break up. Her business instincts of rebuilding and, rebuilding and being that, coming out on top again, very, very much language that was animal language. So I was able to compare different remedies, like say Nature Muriaticum, sepia, which also maybe pulsatilla. And when I read some of those things, they just did not match up with her characteristics. And so
No.
that's was the leading thing for me was characteristics.
So, because it's just first of all, before we go on and explore it a little bit more, just explain exactly what lac lupinum is.
Black lupinum is a remedy made from the milk of the gray wolf, of a female gray wolf. Yes.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
So it's the
So,
mother's milk of the gray wolf. Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
So what is really interesting, because when you mention those Natmure and Pulsatilla and sepia remedies and the usual migraine remedies that we'd
Hmm.
look at first, and that a lot of people are expressing in so many ways, everything that you have said already does not indicate those remedies because she's a powerhouse. She powers through. She's working. She's coping. She's absolutely determined. And she's in, how did you describe it? Survival mode.
Yes.
Our average clients do not come in with these words, do they?
They do not. And it definitely pointed to some sort of animal type remedy, just the way she has been a survivor
Yeah.
through her whole life up until this point. Yeah, it's fascinating.
So, just for our listeners here today, let's just explain because quite often we can see a plant remedy in somebody or animal remedy in someone or a mineral remedy in someone? And can you just explain what you're seeing when this thought goes through your mind as a homeopath?
Well, for me, it came into view because there was a lot of animal language and characteristics, like powered through. She talked about her survival instincts with her, and then there was a lot of family themes coming through. So it kind of pointed to animal,
Yeah.
where plant remedies are, they're very sensitive. They often relate to a sensitivity or their surroundings, their reaction to their environment.
Yeah.
It's more environmental. Hers was more, it's just that I keep saying survival, but that keep poking through. And then mineral remedies, often are structure and
Yeah.
responsibility, like they're in a structure. Yeah. And when you start comparing and really thinking that didn't really match up either.
No,
And
absolutely.
so yeah, typically animal remedies are like family themes, relationships, survival, position within a group.
Yes.
um yes, and everything she said through the whole interview talked about her relationships, her family, her position in family, her position in the relationships. Yeah. And then having to just survive on her own.
Okay.
And for me, then I'm like, what type of animal remedy survives on their own?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
lone wolf.
And
Yeah.
and yeah,
I'm sure there's others.
yeah, but when we read the words of this is what is actually printed in the Materia Medica, isn't it?
Yes.
So, Colleen, what happened when you gave her this remedy?
Oh, okay. Well, I should tell you before I even gave it to her, I had been researching this for a few days, and I was like, can it be this simple? Because she really pointed me, her words pointed me to the remedy that she needed.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to be speaking with her. And so I held off ordering it.
Okay.
And when I talked to her, she said, have you decided my remedy yet? And I said, why, I did, but I was waiting to talk to you. And I said, why do you ask? And she said, because I woke up for the first time and did not have that headache in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said,
We
that is, she is a also very intuitive, spiritual type of woman. And yes, this really, my jaw dropped. And I was like, yep, I'm going to be ordering it today.
Okay, absolutely.
Mhm.
Because, at the end of the day, it is an energy remedy. And we know that people can go through the process of having a consultation and actually feel much better at the end of it or the next day after releasing, talking. And then when we have decided and made the intention, that also has a healing response. So, you ordered the remedy with confidence now.
I did. I was like, this is definitely it. So I placed the order. And interestingly enough, after 1 month, her migraines had decreased, the frequency and also how long they lasted.
Oh,
That was very interesting. Yes, yes. And so I have been working with her just well over a year right now. And she has gotten to the point where her migraines are pretty much non-existent. Every once in a while, she has a tension headache. Her tension headaches, the last symptom that seemed to have gone away. So the headaches, migraines decrease in frequency and decrease in the length of days. So the length of suffering decrease from 3 to 5 to maybe 1, where it wouldn't even last a full day anymore. And I would instruct her how to take her remedy if she felt something coming on, and then it would not, it kind of held it at bay. So those really decreased. She had some bloating problems, which really disappeared in the first month. Yeah. And then some back aches or issues, those were gone in the first 2 to 3 months. And interestingly enough, the last bigger symptom besides the headaches, temple pain. That was the last symptom that disappeared maybe a few months ago. And that's very interesting because that definitely shows up in the proving of lack. Lupinum is temple pain. So
Interesting.
it's totally interesting. Yeah. Um, During the course of her healing journey over the past year, um, there were a couple times when migraines came back, and I was like, "Ooh, okay." Um, but some of these times when the migraine came back, they were associated with telling her story again.
Okay. Oh,
Telling a story of a happening that, where she had to survive. Sharing that story, which, she thought she shared it a lot, but again, it was deeper and deeper healing. And I assured her that this would go away. It was just another layer in her healing moment. And it did not last as long. It lasted under a day. So yeah, we've been on a really good path.
it's such a lovely story, Colleen, and the amazing thing is because often we say, we're going to be looking at a month for every year that you've suffered, but she'd been suffering for 30 years, and within 9, 12 months, significant progress, absolutely significant. But you mentioned there reaching different levels, and I think this is an aspect of homeopathy that perhaps some people don't understand quite yet, is that we are not just about getting rid of the symptom. We are about addressing the cause of the symptom, which means going deep in order for the symptom not to return at a later stage. And like you said, we have to go through all of those layers of health to do that, don't we?
We do. Yeah, she had suffered a long time and thought maybe some of these things she really addressed. But when she talked about it, it was a little flare up. And, as a homeopath, you're like, oh boy, is this coming back?
Yeah,
And I assured her it was just a short flare up and it should go away faster, right? Because that's what healing's about.
yeah.
Your body has adapted and has actually healed some of those things from the past.
We're actually teaching the body to react in a different way, aren't we? And teaching the body how to react appropriately.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes the body time to catch up. Sometimes your mind symptoms, right? Your
Yeah.
frame of mind is good, but your body still has that imprint, that physical imprint or that trauma imprint that has to get by.
And it's the same with any habit that we have, really, isn't it? It takes us weeks and weeks and weeks to formulate a new habit. And so the same must be for our body in finding a different way to respond. But also then it's not just responding now when we're good, it's responding, as you say, when we're going into that deeper levels, or life happens, throws us another star, and we have to adapt to that as well. But it might be triggering previous events, and we are working all the way through that.
Yes, we have been. One of the things that has been helpful for her is I work in Q or LM remedies, and so it's been a daily support for her. I use that in my practice as more of a daily support. So she gets that nudge of healing every day.
And the interesting thing with this case just now that everybody does need to hear is that you didn't have to go from one remedy to another remedy. Still, months and months later, she has the same remedy, just in a different LM potency.
Yes, yes. We started out at the very beginning with your typical like 200C potency to kind of set the direction of
Yeah.
healing. And then I usually practice with a Q1, which then maintains the signal. and then have worked up through the potencies. Currently, she's on a Q7.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's just explain quickly what we mean by LM potency and why it is different than the usual potencies that we talk about homeopathy in, and why it's useful in long-standing cases like this, and what we do to alter that potency a little bit each time we take it.
Hmm. Okay. LM or Q potencies. I was schooled with the Q,
Okay.
which is it's a really a special dilution scale. It's like it's diluted 1 part in 1 in 50,000. So it's a very diluted remedy. So it acts in a very gentle way. It sends a signal to the body gently, and I prescribe them every day to take the LM or Q remedy every day. So it really sends a gentle nudge instead of a strong push
Mhm.
that maybe a pellet like your 200C 1M pellets would take. Hmm. And so as she moved through her healing or different layers, I would, as a practitioner, look and make a decision to move her to the next potency.
Mhm.
Um, we had follow ups every 4 to 6 weeks where I would listen to her improvements and then make a decision to keep sending that signal. And the object is to send so your body doesn't get used to the same signal. You're on the same remedy, but you don't want to get used to it, right? So you keep as you take move up in the potency levels, it sends the same remedy signal, but at a different level or a different frequency.
Okay.
It's
And
sending you directions.
okay. And do they have these in solution?
Oh, they do. Yeah, they're in a solution, and I know you won't be able to see it
Okay.
on like iTunes or anything, but they're in like a 30 milliliter bottle,
Uh-huh.
and it's made in the pharmacy at a dilution scale of 1 part in 50,000. And as you move up in the scales, they use the next level to make the part. And how this works is once my clients receive this LM or Q potency, you make it in actually half a cup of distilled water. So you even dilute it even
But
further.
yeah.
And you decide you take the bottle and you succuss the bottle 10 times. So you're basically energizing or waking up the remedy again. And then you put however many drops I determine as a practitioner into a half a cup of distilled water. And then you stir that again. And you want this in a glass or
Mhm.
and use a metal spoon. And then you typically take a half a teaspoon only. So it's a very, very small amount.
Yeah.
But it's just unbelievable how this has worked. And just her case just shows this continued arc of healing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lovely, lovely case, and it has brought up an unusual remedy and a different way of prescribing as well. So we've got lots of different bits of information we want to take further here. Um, the main thing about LM or Q, so people will quite often see this if they're looking in the pharmacies. What are these type of potencies? They're not potencies that people generally use for acute situations. They're for very long-term situations and situations where there might be a maintaining cause as well. So something that is keeps on making the symptom recur, whatever that might be. So it is important for to our audience to understand that for acute prescribing, we wouldn't be prescribing in this way at all, because we don't recommend that people keep taking the same remedy for the same reasons as you wouldn't take Western medicine continuously, because it affects your body. After all, homeopathy is asking the body to change something. Once it's changed something, you don't need to continue. So usually people would be taking a homeopathic remedy for a number of days, perhaps occasionally once a month, something like that. It's not something ongoing. So this is a completely different way of prescribing that we do use in the cases that the energy is right for it. And as you
Mm,
said, you are saying once a day. For some people, even that is too much. If they're very, very sensitive or they've got skin issues, it might be once every
yeah.
4 days. And it's not until you're understanding the actual energy of the symptom and the person's vitality that you can equate to where we're going with that.
Yeah, that thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yes. I use this mainly in my chronic prescribing, people that have long-term chronic issues that they haven't been able to solve. And absolutely, you're right. I do have clients where I described pounding, doing the percussions of the bottle. 10 is too much for them.
Yeah,
So they do 5. And
yeah.
that is something that I gauge working with them and getting to know the client, what's appropriate. Like you said, it could be, most of my clients have been every day, but some do not need it every day. Mm-hmm.
It's so important, I think, that as we're helping people understand more about homeopathy, they can understand that we have lots of different ways of prescribing, don't we? And we want to share that with you because we want people to understand the depth of homeopathy. It's not just for coughs and colds. It really can help with long-term health issues that perhaps other types of medicine struggle more with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really, really a great case. And I expect soon enough that she may not even need it, right? She's
I think,
getting very close.
yeah, I think so. And then, if something were to happen in the future, she knows that she just has to have one dose and her body will remember how to react again and remember how to rectify itself.
Yeah, this is just such a great case of that there's actually been healing, and this isn't something that has to, once you're healed, you don't need to go on
Yeah, yeah.
needed. Yeah.
I think that's what I love about homeopathy is it's you don't have to take this for the rest of your life. We're not just covering up those symptoms, are we? We're actually addressing the cause of them and we're helping your body heal completely with deep, deep inside. Colleen, it's just been such a lovely case and opportunity to explore just a wonderful remedy, a wonderful relationship with those words, and well done. Fantastic result.
Thank you. I'm so happy to share this. It's such a fun case for sure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My goodness, what an episode it has been this week. There were so many different things that we have covered today. We've talked about different prescribing methods. We've talked about chronic health and how we can help situations that have been going on for 30 years or more. We talked about a remedy that we hardly ever use and know more about. So if you're inspired to learn more, check the video above and see if that's going to help you further.